Hey y'all, and welcome back to Kate's Giving. If you're new around here, hello and welcome. My name is Katie Marie, and we're doing something on my channel for the month of November called Kate's Giving, where I'm uploading a video about every day-ish. And I say ish because mom life, I'm a mom of 4. Who knows if I'll be able to stick to every day, but I'm gonna try my best to see if I can get a video up every day. I do have my youngest. She's nursing on me right now, so if you hear little noises, that's gonna be her. But in today's video, I'm really excited because I get to go back to the year 2018, and we're gonna talk about the 3 palettes that I named my top favorites from the year of 2018. So 2018, it's been a while. What palettes did I name as my favorite from the year, my top favorites from the year, and do they still hold up now today in almost the end of 2022? In today's video, I'm gonna be creating 3 looks, one with each of the palette. I'm gonna take the Grind and the Subculture. I'm gonna do one on each eye, and then I'm gonna do one look, on both eyes with the Melt Gemini palette, which is what I have on my eyes right now. But we're gonna go ahead and do it together, sitting kind of get ready with me style. I'm gonna chit chat with you guys about the formula, if I think it's changed, that sort of thing, and then we'll meet back here at the end and I'll let you know if my thoughts of them being the best palette and whatnot of 2018, if they still hold true now in 2022. Okay, so let's do the Grind palette first. Here is a close-up of what it looks like. I don't even know what I want to do. I'm trying to think. I'm not going to really try to be matching the Subculture, which I'm going to do on this eye, so I'm just going to kind of go in and see what I want to do. But I'm going to start with this shade. Let's see what this shade looks like on the outer corner. It has been so long since I have dived into this palette, and I'm curious, 2018, I can't remember if I tried at the beginning or end of 2018, but that makes it about, what is that, 4 years old? So yeah, it's getting pretty up there, but that's nice. That looks nice. I'm going to just briefly clean off this brush. I'm going to go ahead and dab into that dark green there. This, I think I remember this palette being on it, having such a short lifespan. I think I heard someone say, this is just a rumor about like copyright issues or something like that, is why they had to pull this, because there were 3 palettes in the collection and the other 2 were available and around for a little while, but this one I want to say was gone by the time I got my review up for it a couple weeks after I bought it, and I bought it when it first launched. This looks almost more blue than green, blending that in, and it definitely made the brown a lot more of just like a gray, I would call it, like a black gray. Kind of canceled out any kind of warmth there. So let's go ahead and I just want to play with this palette, so I'm going to go in and add this on top and see if that kind of brings a little bit more warmth to it. Across here, I think that'll look nice out here for sure. Not sure with the green, but I think it'll work out okay. Quality wise, like, these still got pigment. I feel like I'm going to be doing a very questionable type of eye look because I have no plan going into this color store, and I feel like these color store tends to do best when you got some type of plan, but we shall see. I'm going to change it for a slightly larger but still fluffy brush, and I'm going to go into, let's go into here. We need some lightness in here. I'm going to put it right in here. This brush I really like for very gentle blending. It's a little too like loose and floofy for in my inner corner, but I can work at it and blend it a little bit and it'll get there. I feel like for my inner crease here, the firmer but still fluffy blending brush, the more firmer brushes tend to do better at really putting down product and helping to blend. This type of brush is my favorite for kind of like out here, because I feel like it just softens things up so very quickly, just like that. There we go. It's looking, a look is coming together. For whatever reason, I just don't really have a lot of inspiration today when I'm sitting down to do this look, so we're just gonna see what happens. Gonna bring it down a little bit. Tapping into that second shade I used, just gonna put it back down in here, make sure it's blended out. And then let's go back into that green. I'm gonna put it back in here just to kind of make sure it's kind of popping. That was pretty, and a pretty easy, simple, and quick look to get. I guess 4 years isn't terribly old. For whatever reason, I feel like 4 years is getting pretty old. What is the lifespan? I feel like they're always, yeah, 24 months. So this says 2 years, but like quality-wise, this is blending and performing just as beautiful as I remember it. So that's great. Let's see what the shimmers are like. I'm gonna get a nice flat brush for this, like this Smashbox Buildable Concealer, and I want to use at least 2 of these because they're just so beautiful. Let's go ahead and I want to do this shade on the outer corner, and then should I do this shade on the inner? It's kind of dark, darker than I tend to like. The shimmers in here are pretty like soft, nothing too crazy, That's definitely a shade I would like, but I feel like I'm going to save that for my inner corner. So you know what, we're going to do this shade and this shade, and then we can always top it with maybe one of these if we want a little brightness, because those are more of like a toppery type of shadow. They're almost like an iridescent type of shimmer. So weird only doing one eye. I keep wanting to go back and forth, and then I catch myself and I'm like, no, just doing the one eye. Let's bring it back. That is a very soft shimmer, but it's kind of what I anticipated just looking at it. The shimmers are definitely ones that I feel like, I don't know, especially in 2022, they're not very exciting, and definitely don't excite me anymore. I like a little bit more, I don't know, like I like a more metallic finish or sparkly. Sparkly is always pretty. Let's go into that green, and I'm gonna put it on the rest here, just like that. Very nice. They're like smooth to blend, maybe because it is so such a soft shimmer, like it blends into the mattes really easy. And then as I'm blending it into the shimmers, it's blending really nice and effortlessly. So like there's that going for it. But yeah, these shimmers in today's standards just don't cut it for me anymore. Put that on top. I'm gonna take a little bit of this shade. I'm just going to top it over. I'm going to use the same brush. I'll clean it off to make sure I don't have too much of that dark green. But I'm just going to top it over on the front portion. I don't even know if you'll be able to see. Yeah, you can't even tell. It's just such a subtle shimmer. It doesn't really do much. I mean, maybe it's lightening it up a little bit, but now it just feels like it's disappearing. So I'm going to go back into that shade. Typically, I feel like with today's formula, if I took a shade like that, which is kind of like an iridescent shimmer, and if I topped it over a shadow, I feel like it would change and just lighten and brighten up the look. But this almost just seemed to dust it away, so I kind of have regrets there. Whoops. Oh well. Okay, shimmers in this palette are not it anymore, for sure. And you know what, I'm gonna take this dark brown that I started with, I think, and we'll just bring this underneath. I wasn't thinking I was gonna do my under eyes, but might as well. Actually, you know what, my under eyes are not primed, and I feel like it's taken a little bit more work and effort to get it in there, so definitely works best with a primer. I'm gonna go into that lightest yellow, or not yellow, mustardy shade. I'm gonna put it right down in the front with that shade. I love this little brush from Give Me Glow. And then might as well make sure this is nice and soft. There we go. Okay, let me go ahead and gonna use that brightest shade that we got in the pan and use it on my inner corner, just like that. And this look with the grind palette is complete. There was a good amount of fallout, but it also looks like the fallout that if I did have my makeup done, it probably would have just swept away. It doesn't look anything too dark or too sticky. I have my moisturizer on, so it's a little sticky, but that's okay. I'll clean my face anyway before I do my actual makeup for the day. But there is the look with the grind palette. So as I switch over and start priming my other eye, I'll go ahead and stick up close up so you guys can see. The mattes in that palette still performed really, really nicely. Like, I'm super happy with the blendability of it. I mean, I feel like with that color story, I would have to be a little careful to not get too muddy using too many shades. I know definitely back in the day when I first reviewed that palette, I didn't typically use so many mattes in a look. So as I was like starting and wanting to use a ton of mattes, I feel like the brown and green I didn't need to use both of them. I could have just used one of them and got the same look, and using them together kind of muddied it up. But besides that, blendable, smooth. The shimmers are the only one where I'm just like, I really don't have any desire to use them again. They're pretty lackluster in my opinion. So now let's get into the Subculture, which also has shimmers that aren't really that great. She only has 3 in here, but I remember them not being that impressive. So I'm just gonna clean off these brushes and see if I can get away with using them again, because it's pretty much the same tones in this palette anyway. I think I'm gonna go a more like purpley yellow maybe, because I feel like whenever I would go in here, I go green a lot, like the green yellow. So I think I'm going to try and just do something a little different. Let's go into Rowdy. Rowdy is also that shade that is so dark, like it's almost black. So I am only going to tap it on the outer corner here, and then I think I'm going to take that second darkest shade, darkest reddish tone, and pack it on top. Yeah, because that basically looks black. So now I'm going to go into All Star is the shade name. I'm just going to put it down right on top to see if, and then I'm going to expand it a little bit obviously, but I just want that first darkest shade to be down to give a nice amount of depth before I go on with that reddish purple tone. That reddish purple tone is so intense you almost can't even see that first shade I put down. And as I blend it in, it kind of is kind of taken away the color. I don't know if it's because I put that dark shade down first, but anyway. We're just gonna pack this down like that, and then I'm going to take that small brush from Gimme Glow. What should we go into next? Let's go into New Wave and put that on the inner portion. It's been so long since I've played with this. I have played with this this Subculture palette more recently than my grind palette, because I compared it to the At Forest Sight palette from ColourPop and Raw Beauty Christie. So I did get to play with it not too long ago, and I remember still enjoying it. I definitely feel like I need to like check myself as I go in though, because I know how intense this is and how like tricky the formula can be. If I remember right, like if you kind of pack on too much, you can be in trouble with it just wanting to start patching away, I think was the issue. Yeah, patches, right? Like people would start to blend and it would just patch off type of thing. So hopefully I haven't done too much already. We'll see. It's been a while since I've had to do a formula like this. You know what? I want to go into Roxy on the outer corner. I feel like Roxy's always that shade I never use, along with Dawn, but Roxy's that shade because it's more of that pinky tone that I tend to just ignore in this palette because I'm going for all the greens and yellows. So let's use it to blend out and go right on top of the purples that Rowdy and All Star. Look at me being different and not going towards the greens in a palette. I was trying to think of like shade looks that I probably haven't done with this palette already on my channel, and I'm sure I've already said it, but all the videos that I've done where I've created looks with this palette, I'll leave link down in the description box along with the grind and the melt palette. So if you want more looks using these palettes, you can find them really easily down there if you are curious. So I'm trying to think of looks that I probably wouldn't have done with this palette already on my channel, just to give you guys something different. I'm gonna go back into All Star, and I'm just taking the tip of that brush that had All Star and Rowdy on it. I tapped a touch more into All Star just to get a little bit of that on the brush, but now I'm just gonna blend and work that in like that. That's a pretty good blend. Didn't take too much time at all. Let's see, I think I used this brush for that pinky, what is it, Roxy? Roxy's pretty. I never really gave it much attention, but it is a pretty shadow. Okay. This pretty much looks done. I'm going to take a touch of, what should I take? Let's just take a little bit of Fudge in there, this shade right there. And I'm going to go into this brush that I used in my crease, clean it off a little bit, but I just want to get a little bit of depth from here and then going over. So I'm going to keep it really low so it hopefully doesn't take over. But like that, just to give a little bit of definition in that crease. And then I'm going to wipe that brush off, go back into New Wave, and go back over it just to make sure it's not too harsh of a line. Okay, let's move on to the shimmers. I feel like I never really touched Q much except for inner corner. Oh my goodness, it's so chalky. I mean, there's a shift there, but it's like very chalky and uneven. Then this is Electric. I definitely use that a lot. And then Adorn is dark. I think I'm going to use a combination of, I'm going to use a combination of these two. I'm going to use Adorn pretty much all over the lid, but I want to try and use that Cube. I always ignored Cube except for just kind of digging into it when I needed it for an inner corner highlight. So let's do it. Let's see what that looks like. I didn't put any type of glitter primer down. This shade is definitely looking like it could use it. It would probably help it stick on easier, because trying to get this Adorn shade on my lid is a lot harder than the grind side for sure, but I don't think it would make it stand out a whole lot more, because again, the shimmers are super soft. I'm curious if ABH has improved their shimmer formula since back in the day, since shimmers, like the expectation for shimmers has gone up so much, because both of these, the shimmers in them aren't that impressive. All right, now I'm just gonna take Cube and put this in. It's like a pink, I guess. It makes me think of some special shades I've gotten or like used recently in like those indie all shimmer palettes, but this is definitely not that special. I get what they were trying to go for, but shimmer eyeshadow has definitely come a long way in the last 4 years. I'll tell you that, because back in the day, or maybe my expectations for it maybe has just gone up, because back in the day, like I remember trying this and being, like happy with the shimmers and the grind, and I think I thought the shimmers in here were, well, besides how difficult they were, but other than how difficult they were to apply, I don't think I hated the shimmers, but they're definitely not it. I forgot I was doing my lower lash line, so let's take Rowdy underneath, definitely a lot easier, a lot more pigmented going on bare skin here than on this side. I'm gonna take that tiny Give Me Glow brush. I'm gonna go into Edge just for something different because we didn't use Edge and I remember it being one of my favorite colors. I'm gonna blend that, the pigmentation. This is definitely a palette that doesn't need primer to really help it stand out. Let's go ahead and end with taking Electric, that last shimmer in there, and that's gonna be my inner corner highlight. This shade I remember being my favorite in the palette, but even now with like a really dense little brush like this, putting it on, it's like, okay, I got some sparkle in there. This is gonna be pretty much the look. I'm gonna go ahead and stick up close up so you guys can see how this look turned out. But overall, it was fun to go back and play with both of these palettes, the Subculture and the Grind. But after playing with them, I'm like, the mattes are still really nice. I still really, you know, stand by what I thought back then of the mattes and how much I enjoyed them. But trying these shimmers, they are just not it. So let me go wash my face and then let's see if the Melt palette has better shimmers, which I think they do. But let's see if I like the Melt palette shimmers more, and let's create a look on both eyes with the Melt Cosmetics Gemini palette. Okay, would it be a video from Katie Marie if I didn't have a oopsie or a mess up in the video? And I just found my first one for Kate's Giving. Anyway, recorded that, thought the video was great, sat down to edit it, and I realized that I grabbed the Subculture and the Subculture wasn't my 2019 favorites. It was the Grind and it was the Melt Gemini palette, but then it was the Chocolate Gold palette. I think the Subculture came out a couple years before that or something. I forget when the Subculture came out. I need to look it up. But anyway, it wasn't the Subculture that was in my favorites for 2018. So I saw that and I was looking at my footage. I was like, what did you do, Katie? What did you do? So to fix it, because I don't have time to refilm everything and like take out the Subculture, we're just gonna leave the Subculture in there. You guys get a look at the Subculture. Okay, so with this palette for sure, there's not a whole lot you can do with the mattes. So I feel like in today's time, I wouldn't love this as much for sure, but we're gonna see if the quality is still there because there's only these 4 mattes here. So we're going to use all of them. I'm gonna take the black on the outer corner here. Let's pop it on, and then I'll probably take the brown through the darker brown throughout the whole crease and then use the lightest brown to soften it all up. All right, kind of like that. You know what, I'm just gonna use the same type of brush. This is a Sonia G Builder 3. It's very versatile, I like it. I'm gonna take, what is it, Cocoa Truffle? And now we're gonna take it into here and then I'll bring it back to connect it to the black as well. And I'm going to take just a little bit of that brown down like that. It is early morning, so my voice is still not waking up. I feel like it sounds pretty rough. These shadows seem to be fine. I'm not super happy with that black. I'm going to add more, see if I can get some intensity. Just because it's like more of a kind of like a dusty black or a dark gray. I don't know. The intensity's still there. Not to say that the quality's gone down or anything, or the quality isn't good and maybe I've just discovered better things. I'm gonna take this. This is the Smashbox contour shadow. I'm gonna take that lightest brown. And we're gonna go right in here on top. I guess because I was, you know, playing with the black, but even this brown up here looks pretty like cool tone and not super pigmented, doesn't stand out a whole lot. All right, I'm gonna go back into that brown because I feel like the darker brown is the warmest tone. I'm gonna tap it on just to see if we can get some dimension / some warmth in here. I wasn't expecting my crease to be so cool tone. I mean, I guess it's not terrible, but just kind of wanted it a little bit lighter. And then after I do this, I guess the only other shade is gonna be that beige Rollin' in Dough. We're gonna pop that on just the brow bone, I guess. Might as well use them all since I can. All right, well, we're gonna do that. Let's go ahead, since I didn't use a glitter base with any of the other shimmers, let's just not use it here. Maybe some people say, well, you didn't give them a fair shot because I use glitter bases with my other shadows, but with those shadows, typically I use a glitter base just to make the job quicker so I can get them on and make them stand out better. I don't have to build them up, and so they last better. But for the most part, the palettes can still stand on their own 2 feet. Yeah, depending on the palette, of course, but for the most part. So anyway, let's see what I can do. I want to try and do, can I fit 3 shades on my eyes? We're going to try it. I'm going to start with the Rich Girl on the inner portion, then we're going to go to Chocolate Gold, and then I'll probably use Love and Cocoa on the outer corner. Not super colorful, but that hot pink I remember it being more of just, I don't know, more a subtle color. I'm not really super, well, maybe I could do that to gold. That could look pretty. Might as well do that. Let's see what hot pink looks like going into gold. And then we can do that other color on the outer corner. But let's start with hot pink. really dig in there and get it up, because it has been a while since I've used this. And then we're gonna pop this right in here. Definitely looks more like, not a satin, but a very, very gentle, very fine type of shimmer. I don't know. I'm not crazy about this shadow. I don't think I liked this shadow back when I got it though. That was why I was like, yeah, maybe we won't use it. I just remember it just being very gentle of a shadow, I guess you could describe it. So let's see if chocolate gold. I think I remember liking this shadow. Yeah, see, this has more wabam to it, for sure. I might just go ahead and cover up all that pink, because that pink is, I mean, I'm not wearing this the whole day, so it's fine, but the pink is pretty sad in comparison to this. I mean, even this is a nice shimmer. Nothing too crazy and sparkly. There's no sparkle at all, but it's at least got a nice amount of pigment. I think this is why I love this palette so much, because the shimmers are just very nice. I'm gonna go into, like I said, Love and Cocoa. Let's put Love and Cocoa out here. Yeah, this shade also is pretty nice. It's got a nice amount of color to it. Very pretty. I think I'm gonna put something on top because I just don't like that pink. The pink is like a different viscosity to it. Like, you can obviously tell that it's just like super thin compared to the other two. So let's take this silver. Maybe it'll mesh good and help not totally hide the pink, but just help it stand out more. I think I got a little in my mouth because I just tasted a hint of like weird chocolate, and I forgot this used to smell like chocolate, so apparently it still tastes a little chocolatey. With this palette, I feel like it's going to stand out best not using so many, because it's a little bit sad now, but like all the colors are kind of getting a little too gentle, but it's not bad. Let's go ahead and try. I'm going to take that silver, I want to spray it. Okay, wetting it definitely helps. Let me try doing it with the other two, because I bet they'll show up even more. Okay, so spraying them definitely helped. Look at me saying in the beginning I wasn't gonna spray them, and then we ended up spraying them. Spraying definitely helped, but still, they're pretty subtle shimmers. I'm just gonna take a combo of the black and dark brown, and let's take it under here just to finish out this look. And then for inner corner, what should we take? I got some fallout for sure. Let's take this shade. Yeah, I just got chocolate taste again. All right, this isn't quite the right brush, but that's a pretty shade too. Inner corner highlight, I like it. All right, this is gonna be the look. I don't think I'm gonna be able to have time to re-record the intro and outro, so take this as my little review for it. I feel like this, I can say the same for this as I did with the Grind, the Subculture, and the Melt Gemini. The mattes are still really good quality. They blended out really, really nicely. I'm super happy with how all of them look. Like, I think it's really pretty. No big issues, and I feel like I got the blend with the mattes super, super fast, so that's great. But the shimmers are where it's just kind of like, they've come a long way since 2018 shimmers, for sure. So that's gonna be my thoughts on it. I hope you guys enjoyed the look. Hope you guys enjoyed seeing me dip into this palette once again. But yeah, now with that said, let's go ahead and rejoin the rest of the video and finish out with the last look, which is gonna be with the Melt Gemini palette. Okay, it's time to move on to the last palette for the video, the Melt Gemini palette. This beauty right here. What should I do? I definitely want to start with the black, so let's darken it out with the black. No idea where I want to go from there. I'd like to incorporate both sides of the palette, the neutral and the green, so I should start thinking on that. I think I might do green on the outer edges and then more brown and neutrals in the middle here. I feel like I always like that type of look. Maybe a bit predictable for me, but okay, definitely a dark, like definitely nicely pigmented, and it's more of like a dark gray, I would say, than like an inky black. Maybe if I kept building it up, it would get there, but I don't want to, because I'm, again, wanting to go for more green on the outer corner, so I'm gonna take Leo, really build it up on, or pack it onto my brush here, and I'm going to pack this on top and make it a little bit of a bigger area. So I really want a nice dark green out here, like that. Okay, and then let's see, on top of that, I want to take this type of brush. I think it has enough stiffness to it. I'm going to go right on top, can I speak? I'm going to go right on top with Mochi right here. I feel like that'll be a nice shade to blend out the outer edges of this look. And I might take a touch of that Fire OG if I need it, but I want this to be the lighter shade. Okay, I feel like I like how it's looking, but it's definitely looking a little crazy patchy up in there, so I'm going to take a more detailed, or like a more of a firm type of blending brush for more detailed work, and I'm going to step into Fire OG, which is that last matte green, and we're going to use that to help transition these two. And I'm just kind of sticking out here, as you can see, because I think I want to take the rest of it nice and warm toned. So cool toned greens out here, And then we'll do a lot of warm tones in the crease going to the inner portion, like that. And I'm not too worried about down here because I have to redo it anyway when I do my face, but that looks good for now. So now I'm gonna take this little Wayne Goss 20 brush. I feel like Lorelei is gonna be the great one to start with, and then I'll probably take, what is this, polka dot, to deepen it up in there. I think that'll be good. I feel like it's been ages since I've stepped into this palette and used it. It's so nice to get back to these. This is definitely something where I think if I didn't have so many new palettes I was always working on, I would like reach back for at least like one a month to do a couple looks with. I used to do that way back in the day, and then it was getting too stressful because I wasn't ever having time. I think this is before I moved, or maybe right after I moved to Florida, I can't remember. But I don't do that anymore, obviously. But I did enjoy that because it was nice to reach back for a look. I'm just totally forgetting this eye. My bad. Let me catch it up real quick. Okay, now that I've caught up this eye, let's keep going. I definitely want to have a little bit of dimension in there, so I'm just going to take this little brush again that I used, go into polka dot, and let's see if we can get a little bit more dimension. You can't see this too much because I do put my shimmers on, obviously, on my lid, but I feel like it just does a little bit. If I'm not too precise with my line, it just helps give dimension to what you can see poking out right above my shimmers. If you were ever curious if like a 4-year-old palette still had it in it, I'm still really impressed with all of the shades so far that I've touched back into with this palette. I'm going to just go right in. We're going to use both of these shades on the lid, I think. Let's go with Goals first, and then we'll put this on top. Gemini. I think I might put Gemini more so on top of the green because I don't want it to be too light out here, but I want Goals to pop, so we're gonna use Goals first. And again, I think I might just, ooh, that's nice and smooth. Again, looks like a shimmer that's kind of out, you know, like outdated now because shimmers are just so crazy right now, and they can just get so much sparkle in them and smoothness and like pigmentation in them. But for back in the day, that's a very nice smooth shimmer. Goes on really nicely and has a nice amount of pigment to it as well, which I really like. So yeah, I'm gonna put the green all over my lid, and then we'll see. I think I'm just gonna use my finger and we'll tap over Gemini to see what that does, because I do remember Gemini being more of a loose, chunky type of shadow. Okay, so I just finished this eye because my kids were chatting with me, but let's go ahead and show you what I did. I just tapped this over, and this wasn't a very impressive shade, and it's turning out to kind of be just as I remember, because like tapping it over just lightens it up. It doesn't have a whole lot of, it doesn't have enough pigment for me at least. So I'm just gonna kind of go back and forth just to give it a little dimension like I did on this eye. And that's all we're gonna do with it. I'm glad I didn't put this all over the lid or on the inner portion, because it's just not, doesn't do anything for me, this shade. Definitely, I remember why I usually reached into this green. Okay, so this is pretty much the look. I feel like the more I'm tapping this on and then I go to kind of smooth it over, it dusts it away. Definitely don't like this Gemini shade, but it's fine. I'm gonna go ahead and go off camera, finish out my eye look. I'm just going to use, let's see, I'm gonna use a combination of the black, the green, and then Mochi to just smoke out my outer corner, and I'm gonna use my face highlight to do my inner corner highlight, because I don't wanna use this shade in my inner corner. It's just so flaky, I feel like it's going to bother my eyes. But I'm gonna do this, and then we can close out this video, and I'll show you guys the final look. All right, so here's the completed look. I feel like one of my eyes is definitely tearing just from all that like on and off, which I feel like my eyes have been getting better, like not being so sensitive when I would do multiple looks in a day. But the past week or so, allergies have been super bad, so I guess I shouldn't be too surprised that my eyes are going to water. So sorry that my makeup is a little messed up at this point, but you get the picture. You can see the look. It's all just messing up below my eyes. But anyway, let's now answer the question, are these palettes just as good? Would I still name them like my top favorite of the year now looking back like I did in 2018? I think I can honestly say no, because for me personally, while all of the mattes are beautiful, I feel like there's a lot of amazing indie brands out that now consistently launch amazing matte formulas. So it's really the shimmers that for me kind of determine whether I absolutely love a palette enough to name it like a top 10 type of thing or a top 5 type of thing. So for me, all of these shimmers were very lackluster, and even the Melt Gemini, while they're better, they definitely don't really hold much of a candle to what is launching now today in 2022. So I feel like that's really where these palettes just kind of don't shine at all. And I mean, the Melt Gemini, the green is very nice, but it's just a nice subtle shimmer. I would even call it more subtle than the Kyla Beauty, and I feel like Kyla Beauty is really great at giving you very intense and colorful and nice, just smooth shimmers, and they usually have a little bit of sparkle to it, but theirs, comparing to all three of these shimmers, are like blinding in comparison to these, because these are just so very subtle and so very just kind of like, okay, they're a shimmer that I just feel like they don't hold up now in 2022, especially with what indie brands are doing when it comes to shimmers. The indie brands are launching such amazing shimmers, amazing mattes too, not to say that their matte formula is bad, but especially shimmers. Like some of the brands can release just such sparkly, beautiful, pigmented, like metallic type of eyeshadows. That's what I enjoy, and it's just seeing all the sparkle on your eyes. So these are definitely more subtle. Maybe better for like the everyday or someone who's not super into makeup, because it does give a more softness to the look, so it's not too crazy bold and whatnot. But for me and my preferences, they're not quite there. I definitely wouldn't name them top 10 from 2022. If I had to, you know, if I had to include these in all the palettes that I tried and rank them, they wouldn't get the top, but they would get somewhere in the middle. They're definitely not bad formulas. Like I said, all three of them have really nice matte formulas. I enjoyed working with all of them, had no issues, and they're nicely pigmented even though they're like 4+ years old, depending on when I got them. But yeah, just such a nice palette, really, really great, and it's very nostalgic going back to them after it's been, like I said, 4 years, 2018. It's been a long time since 2018. A lot has happened, and a lot of new palettes have come into my collection, and I've also discovered colorful eyeshadows and my love for colorful makeup, because at the time, this right here, these palettes were very colorful for me, because just the type of eyeshadows I had before were just very neutral, so these tones were very colorful for me. So a lot has changed since then. But anyway, let me know what you guys think of this. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I can go ahead, I guess, give you a little sneaky peeky of Sophia. Say hello. Oh, she's like, oh mama, why you blinding me? Oh my goodness, why are you blinding me with the lights? I'm gonna go ahead and close up this video because that burp is telling me that there's probably gonna be more to follow, so I better go get a burp rag. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, I'm over on Instagram. I'm LadyKatie92 over there, and I post reels and up close eye pictures and all that sort of thing. And yeah, with all that said, I'll see you guys very soon in my next video tomorrow. Bye guys.